Good. This one actually went pretty smooth, so I'm pretty happy, YouTube. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Gear Talk. This is episode 38. This is Gear Talk show that I do every other week. We talk about gear, so the geekier side of blading. What sort of bearings you need, what the different profiles and wheels are, what hardness wheels you need, things that people usually don't care about. There are a passionate group of people who do care about that sort of thing. I am one of them, and a bunch of others are in the live chat. If you do have a question during the show, please make sure that you tag me in it so that I can see it. I usually wear glasses. But I can't read super well without them, and I don't like wearing glasses with the light because it reflects and it looks horrible. Some crazy warning just came up on the YouTube, so I hope that you guys can still see me, but who knows. YouTube, I tell you what, I can never win with YouTube. I feel like there needs to be a better way. I'm sure there is. I just don't know the better way. Anyway, this is Gear Talk. I do this show every Wednesday night. Every other Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I will be taking off. I usually do it every other Wednesday. Since the next Wednesday will be New Year's Day, I'll probably take off New Year's Day and skip a week. So it'll be 3 weeks before I do the next one, which will be January 8th, I think. Anyway, check out the Facebook, the YouTube, or the Instagram for information. I will post when we're doing another episode. And thank you for joining me. So this week, make sure that everything... Okay, Will says that we still see in here. Thank you, Will, for the encouragement. I don't know, I just have this big error that came up in the middle of a live stream. If YouTube is telling me to adjust my keyframe frequency, that doesn't do much for me when I'm live broadcasting and this big yellow warning message comes up and says, hey, in the future, it would be better if you did this. I can't do it now. So just send me an email, all right? Anyway, the way that I usually start the show, I talk about the current skates that I'm skating. And usually I love doing big wheels and I love doing aggressive. The weather here in North Carolina has been just wet. You know, it has actually been okay. It's hoodie weather now. It is in the 40s and the 30s. So it's definitely hoodie weather. But it's not really great for skating. There's a lot of rain. There's a lot of puddles, and the places that I like to skate, they kind of need to be dry. And it has been raining a lot over the weekends when I'm usually able to sneak away and skate. So I've only been skating aggressive. I hope to change that in a few weeks. But I am still on the Adapt Stealth, which are these skates right here. So these are the Adapt Stealth. I have been skating these for 3 weeks now. I skated them first week on flat 60s with the Symmetrics frames. And then I switched over to anti-rocker on balanced frames 2 weeks ago. And I skated I skated a skate park with a ledge, outdoor skate park with a ledge. And I skated mini ramp and my indoor skate park last weekend. These are absolutely incredible skates. I cannot speak highly enough about how good these skates feel. It is unlike any other skate that I've ever skated. And that is in a good way. Now the Rems 2.5s were definitely unlike any other skate that I've ever skated because they hurt within 20 minutes of me putting my foot in the skate. That's not how these feel. These feel unlike any other skate in a good way. These are super comfortable. So to start, in case you've never heard about the Adapt Stealth, these are a carbon fiber skate with a leather Nubec material that's like a skin. So there is carbon fiber. You can kind of see the carbon fiber here. I kind of like that all of the carbon skates, so the Adapt, the USD Carbon, the Seba CJ, and even the old the Valo lights, they always flaunt the carbon. So there's a little splash of carbon so that you can see it. every single one of them, just to show off, just a little subtle, I got the carbon. You don't have to worry. Look at me. I've got the carbon. So it is carbon fiber. It is an extremely stiff material. So typically skates will be made out of like a plastic material. I don't know. I've never made a skate, so I don't know what they injection mold those materials out of, or if they even use injection molding. They might use some other completely different process. But they'll typically use a plastic. So it'll be a little squishy. Sometimes you'll get a harder plastic, like a stiffer plastic. Sometimes you'll get a softer plastic. And you'll be able to squish the cuff or squish the shell and get a nice comfortable fit. Or you'll get a solid feel. So when you're skating, it'll feel like you're just cinched in there, like it's solid in your skate, kind of like a hockey skate. Absolutely love the different varieties of plastic. Carbon is kind of carbon. So it's always going to be stiff. My Seba CJs were very stiff. These are very stiff. And where they are stiff is different in each skate. With these adapts, I feel as though they've hit the perfect balance of stiffness. So there is a carbon core that goes around like the outside edge of the skate. It doesn't go that high, just like right up here. It's not even high at all. Like you could feel it a little bit up here, like right at the toe. And then it goes down a little bit. And you could feel that it goes up here a little bit. And then it goes up to the cuff. So it's really like this bottom section is the carbon. And that's the super stiff part. That's actually the part that you want to be super stiff. That's where your foot is going to get that protection that it needs, that stability, that comfort where it really counts. Then there's the skin that goes on top. And this leather is softer than anything that I've ever skated. It is absolutely incredible putting your foot in one of these skates, tightening it up tighter than you expect you should. And of the 3 times that I've skated, 2 times I've had to stop and retighten it. Not because it's gotten loose, but because I didn't tighten it enough. And that's never been a problem before. Typically with a normal skate. So I'll get I'll get my my beloved USD 7s. So typically with a normal skate, you've got a plastic shell. And the laces are on the shell. The liner is where your foot goes. And this liner just slides in. So your foot will slide in here, and it is kind of a crapshoot whether this liner is going to fit your foot perfectly or not. That's why they usually have a neoprene toe so that they can fit more different feet sizes. But this top section, that all just is, maybe it fits your foot, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you have chubby feet, maybe you have skinny feet. It's hard to tell. And if you just get a size, what is this, a 9'10", 43, 44 liner, I mean, they've got to cover so many different feet. They don't necessarily fit you. For me, these fit great. These Fat Boys fit great. Then the liner goes in here, and you tie up the laces, but you tie up the laces as much as you feel like it needs to be tied up. This material, this boot material, doesn't move. So this top section up here, this is really rigid. All that you're really doing is tying across the middle. You could probably ditch the whole bottom section. All that really matters is right here, like this 45-degree strap area, and the buckle. Because your foot in here, I mean, these laces don't even matter. They just kind of sit there. An even better example is probably the USD Aeon. Can I get that one out? Yeah. Perfect. So this USD Aeon has a very open section up here. So you can see the distance between the 2 walls where your lacing is very wide compared to the USD 7, which is very narrow. But again, this doesn't really matter all that much. Nobody's tightening these skates down to cinch this together so that their foot will stay in the boot. The foot stays in the boot because of this 45-degree strap, or because of the lacing up higher, or because of the buckle, and the liner just slides into the boot. This section down here, it really doesn't matter. I'm sure that if you didn't tighten it, you could notice it, but really the section that keeps your foot in the skate is in this middle section, this upper section. So as a result, these adapts are very foreign to me because there's no liner. You know, there's nothing in here. This is just the tongue. The tongue is the only thing that's keeping me in there. There's no liner that slides into the skin. So this is the section that keeps my foot in. This is the liner. So if I want to adjust that top part, all I do is I tighten this. And this material is so comfortable. The tongue, it's really padded, and it extends all the way around, kind of like hugging my foot. It is a really incredible feeling. And I didn't know that that was going to happen with these skates. I thought that they would be fine skates, but I didn't know that they would feel as comfortable as they do. They really feel like athletic shoes, like you're just putting on some nice shoes that you're just going to walk 5 miles in. And at the end, you know, maybe the heel of your foot's going to hurt, but your toes and like the size of your foot, it's not going to make any difference. It's going to feel normal. That's how these feel. That's not how they feel in most skates. So this is a very different skate insofar as the comfort and the lacing. Now there is a 45-degree strap. I don't have it. I need to get a set of them. A lot of people have recommended that I put a 45-degree strap on here. I do get a little bit of heel raise, and I think that that can be remedied by tightening it up a little bit more. Again, I'm trying to learn these skates. They're different. And typically, you know, I don't tighten them up as much as I do like my hockey skates. My hockey skates, I don't have them here. Oh, they're in a bag way over there. I don't have them handy, but my hockey skates, I tighten them pretty heavily. Like maybe I leave the first 2 laces pretty light, but then it's, you know, everything else is really tight because I want to make sure that my foot stays cinched into that boot. I don't want any wiggle with my hockey skates because it needs to feel like the blade is just part of my foot. And that's kind of what I get here, and I feel like a 45-degree strap might help even more. I do get a little bit of lift in the back because I can't get it super tight up here, and the reason is I need a little bit of wiggle in order to get down on Royale tricks, in order to bend a little bit on Soul tricks. Because this cuff is so stiff, this carbon extends all the way up to the top of the cuff. So this is carbon up here. Because it extends so high up, when you're doing Royales, it's really hard to get down unless you bend your knees a lot. And that means that you're using your quad muscles. Those are muscles that I don't really have super strengthened. A lot of times, you know, I do a mix of the two. Like I'll squat down a little bit, but I'll also crank my ankle a little bit over so I can get down on this boot so that I can get that 2 points of contact when I do my Royale tricks. If you're skating these, you don't have that luxury. You can't just crank your ankle over, which makes, you know, topside tricks even more difficult. If you're trying to do a topside trick with these skates, you've got to get down low. You can't just sit there and crank your foot over and stand up straight, you know, because you can't. Like this carbon isn't going to flex. You'll see a lot of pictures of people maybe not rolling their topsides, but they're more upright than I would like to be. Again, I don't do topside tricks very well, so I have no real basis to say this is how you do it. But I know when I look at a picture of somebody doing it, that that's not the way that I want to learn how to do them. And what I don't want to learn is when you're standing straight up and you push that ankle down just so that the ankle's kind of, you know, cranked over. And you can see the cuff is just like, you know, I want to be able to get down low. I want to be able to keep my ankle as straight as possible and just bend my knees and adjust my knees. I think that's the more scalable way to do topside tricks. That's the way that I'm going to be able to learn fish brains and topside, you know, top soles and stuff so that I can do other tricks. If I just do the ankle bend, I don't think that I'm going to be able to actually learn the tricks. And these skates are going to be really helpful for me learning those tricks. There's no way to do topsides if you just want to bend your ankle. It just won't work. Even if you left the thing unbuckled up here, you know, you didn't even strap it in, you don't have any room. Like, there's no wiggle. You can't, you know, you can't move your cuff left and right. Like back in the days, you used to maybe unbuckle your buckle if you wanted to do a top sole or something like that. Doesn't matter here because you've got to keep your foot, unless your foot went all the way out here, right? If your foot's in the cuff, you got nowhere to go. It's solid. So yeah, I'm really happy about these skates. I've learned a few tricks that I was able to do before, but I feel really solid with them now. I feel like my style is a lot better in these tricks. I feel like they're attached to my feet. The comfort is great. I could skate longer. in these skates than I could with my other skates. I am really liking them. I am skating them with the 50-50 balance frames. So a couple things about this setup. First of all, it is a anti-rocker setup. And I've been skating anti-rocker a lot lately. I really like anti-rocker. When I was skating flat with the Symmetrics, I felt like they were slightly rockered. And I checked afterwards and they were a bit rockered. I don't know if that's because the frames are warped or because the wheels are slightly out of tolerance. They're brand new wheels, and I've only skated them in one session in an indoor park with wood ramps. So it's not like they got any wear. I'm sure that rocker will wear out if I were stuck with that setup, but I have the luxury of having different frames that I can test. I do like skating anti-rocker on mini ramp, and I definitely prefer skating anti-rocker when I'm doing ledges and grinds. So I was skating these with the Stefan Brando 6090s, the 60mm 90A 50-50 wheels, and I started feeling a little bit more shock than I was used to. So this skate does not have an internal shock absorber. It does have an insole. Let me see if I can get it out. Oh, get out of here. Yes. Oh, it does have an internal shock absorber. I'm sorry. It's stuck in there. It does have an internal shock. It's kind of hard to see. It is more of a wedge than a shock. There is no squish to it. So if you compare this to where's my SLs? Do I have them? I don't know where my SLs yet. I'll take the, oh, here they are. Ugh. So if you compare those to the SLs, the SLs are also a flat sole boot. And inside the SLs, so if you look inside the adapts, you see there's this little black section inside. So I've taken out the insole. Remember, there's no liner in this. And you can see this little black section. This is a lift. So the little heel lift that lifts your heel, rather than doing it with the skate, they did it with the material on the inside. So they can make a completely flat boot, which means that it's compatible with UFS. Other companies put a squishy shock absorber in here. So this is the one from the Razors SL. And these are a little bit taller than I like. I think these are like 20 mil, maybe even 25 mil, but they're also squishier. So when you're doing airs, when you're coming off a grind, when you're riding stairs or something like that, and you get the impact, your heels are what gets most of the impact. You know, if you're standing up straight, your body weight is over your heels more than it is over your toes. So you're getting that impact mostly on the heels. This is a really nice pillow when you're doing airs. This is not. This is just functional. The only function is to lift your heel so that you are leaning forward a little bit. And that's just a normal feeling when you're skating. That is probably why the 90A Stefan wheels, the 6090s, felt so hard to me. So when I was doing airs, I could feel it on my heels. I could feel that thunk, thunk, that shock on my toes when I was landing like little airs and stuff. So I switched over to 58mm 88A wheels. These are the 58 88s. 88A is a really nice balance between hardness and softness. We do make an 85A, which I don't recommend for anti-rocker. I feel like it's too soft. If you're skating flat, like on a Sola frame, or if you want to skate a 50-50 frame, or, you know, Crate Originals frame or whatever, if you're skating anything flat on 58s, I recommend the 85s. I think it's a great feeling. But if you're just skating anti-rocker, 85 might be a little soft. I would go with an 88, and I really like these 88s. Not only is it a softer urethane, but because of the profile. So this profile is based on the Face wheels. Face was a company that K2 made back in the days that really specialized in some interesting wheels. They had some really great wheels. They were really soft. They were really soft, and they had a very unique profile where it is a rounded, almost bullet profile, but it has a flat tread on top. And this is a homage to the Face wheel. It's 10 millimeters up top, with a nice angle, so that when you're doing when you're skating flat, if you're doing groove tricks, you know, it'll slide more than it'll stick. And when you're skating anti-rocker, which I've found, you'll get a little bit like kind of the balance between the two best of both worlds. So you get a nice flat riding area. So when you're landing spins or whatever, you'll have a nice landing. But as soon as you turn a little bit, you'll have a rounded profile. So you'll be able to turn a lot faster. Much better in my experience than a flat wheel. I think this is a really good balance between the two. I think that a rounded 60 is probably the best wheel for skating anti-rocker, but I don't make a 60-88 yet. So this is the best that I can do. And I really wanted to just see what an 88 felt like. What else? So I absolutely love these skates. I am looking forward to skating them again. I think it's going to be raining again this weekend, unfortunately, but I will be out there. I have skated this setup now for 2 weeks. I've skated the balance frames for 2 weeks. I skated the 58s this last weekend. Skated the 60s last weekend. I have a new setup for next weekend. I'm still on the adapts, but a lot of people have asked for it. I am going to try the wish frames again. So these are the original pre-order version of the wish frames. I don't think that these have the exact specs that the current shipping wish frames have. They are set up with a 72-60 setup. This is the 72 millimeter Guy Crawford wheel from Compass. These are the 60 millimeter 90A Fitty Fitty wheels for Stefan Brando. So it's a 72-60. These will make a nice slightly rockered, but not really rockered feeling. And they've got that amazing wish grind area where you've got the big groove, you've got the wheel bite protection. It's going to be a really fun time. I haven't skated these frames in a long time. And I'm really excited to try them again. It's been months since I've skated wish frames. Few concerns. This is going to be taller than the frames that I'm used to. So if you look at the balance frames, so I have a generic balance frame. You can see that even without mounting it on the boot, which is going to lose, a good 4 mil or whatever, the groove is lower. And that isn't too close. It's pretty close. But that amount is going to make a big difference for me because I'm going to have to get a little bit lower on my Royale tricks. Topside tricks, same thing. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do them, but I am definitely going to try. Last time I did good topsouls was in the USD Shadows with these frames. So I'm really excited to try them. I think that this is a great setup. These Guy Crawfords are 88A on the outside, which again I love. It gives you a good cushion. And then the Stefans are 90A. So if I do get any rub or anything like that, I will probably just hit these wheels. They're going to be hard enough that they're going to slide over it, no problem. And eventually, these wheels will wear a little bit faster than these wheels, I hope. And I'll get a nice little natural rocker. So it's going to be a really fun setup to explore. I will be skating this weekend, probably Saturday. Probably at the same indoor skate park because it is probably going to be raining again because it's North Carolina and we get a lot of rain. That's why we have so many beautiful trees. But it doesn't help when you want to go out and skate. So definitely tune in. I will give my first impressions on this. It has been a long time since I've skated the wish frames. And I'm really excited to try them again. I think this setup is amazing. And I know Guy Crawford skates this setup. He loves it. And if Guy Crawford loves it, then I got to give it a shot because I have a lot of respect for what he says. And if he can do it, then I know that it's possible. Anyway, thank you. Really happy about these skates. Again, Steve, thank you for sending them out for review. I am definitely keeping them. Thank you for this. I will be sending you money as soon as I can. All right, I'm going to get a drink and then go on to the reveal. Actually, before I do the reveal, let me go through and see if there's any questions, because I feel like there might be some questions after I do the reveal. Let me go through and just make sure that there's nobody asking questions. Um, Tex, Teix. I want to say Tex, but TX maybe. Are you planning on Compass Wheels 60 millimeter bullet profile or similar to reduce wheel bite when skating flat? No. Compass probably won't be making anything smaller than 72. I think that Compass is a big wheel company. We're really just designed for skating fast, skating far, having fun on your wheels. I think that if you ever consider grinding, then you're talking about 50/50. And that's kind of the distinction that I make in my head. I don't think that 50/50 should ever come out with a big wheel that isn't designed for grinding. I think 50/50's blood bleeds grinding. So it's always been about grinding. It's always been grind plates. It was replaceable frames. It was aluminum H blocks. A lot of you didn't know that we made aluminum H blocks for the Rossi's Majestic 12 back in the days. It was juice fins. It was the juice system. It was juice blocks. All of those things that were designed for grinding. And I think 50/50 is all about grinding, and it always will be about grinding. Skating fast, that's probably Compass. So a 60 millimeter wheel that has a bullet profile, I will probably do that with 50/50 if I did that. We don't have any plans on doing that. And the reason is that I think there's a lot of 60 millimeter wheels out there that have that profile already. The K2, so a little history, K2 came out with the face wheel back in the days, and they reintroduced it maybe 4 years ago, with the K2 Unnatural. And the 60 millimeter K2 Unnatural wheels were the face profile. However, they weren't the face urethane. So I think they were like a 90A. They weren't great. They definitely had the profile that, let me see if I have one here. So this is the 58. I don't have any 60s, but these are the 58. And you can see this is the face profile. Oh, actually, I have a face wheel. Do I? No. Where are they? Well, here it is. I have a face wheel. So this is an actual face wheel. I don't know why it's all black. My friend Jeff Metz sent it to me. But this is an actual face wheel from the days. And you can see that this is the profile that I modeled my 58 out of. So it has that 10 millimeter flat. It has that really nice rounded edge. What's amazing about these 60s, though, is that it has this huge core. My core for the 58 is not that big. So if you look at like the inside where the label of the 50/50 58 is, that's how big that core is. It's so big. I wish I could find a core this big for my 58s and for my 60s. I feel like it would be a really great mix. They wouldn't last as long probably, but they would be amazing to skate because they could put a softer urethane on the outside, but still have a really good responsiveness because the harder interior core would really be solid in there. So that would be a great thing. I don't know that I have an option to do this. I've asked, and they don't have any cores that are this big, so I would have to make my own, which is very expensive. Not saying no, but it's going to be a while. I definitely love this profile. If you are looking to skate this profile in a 60, the current companies that are making them, Rossi's makes them, Ground Control makes them, and K2 makes them. So they are made at Bravo, which is the old company that used to make Senate and Medium and Supercomputer Robot. They're a different urethane company than they used to be, though. So I want to say that back in those days, some of those wheels were made at AEND, which is the company that makes Undercover wheels now, Dead, Conjure, Sick, a bunch of the really great urethanes that you can get. Gods, those are all made at AEND. They're a great company. They make great urethane. Bravo is not amazing. They're good for an OEM. Do I have any Bravo wheels? No. I had some. I don't know where they went. When I was researching for Compass and for 50/50, I went around to all of the different wheel manufacturers and I said, hey, I'd love to... Do I have some? I swear I have some somewhere. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your wheels. What profiles do you have on hand? What sizes? And could I get a set for testing? And my feedback for the Bravo wheels were that they were a great wheel for an OEM, but it feels like an OEM wheel. where it felt just a little sluggish, didn't feel super responsive, and it was fine. It was fine. If you were putting these wheels on a skate, you would be happy to get them. But if you wanted to buy a premium wheel, those weren't it. And for me, I wanted to make a premium wheel. So I kept looking and I found, the company that makes our wheels. All that to say, you can get a 60 millimeter wheel that has this profile now. You can go to Ground Control. They have them in all different colors, and they're a 60 millimeter wheel. I would recommend that before waiting for me to make one, because I don't have any goals of making a 60 mil. The reason why I made this 58 is because I wanted to make a wheel that people could ride flat on balance frames. And these are amazing wheels that you can ride flat on balance frames. You can't fit a 60 millimeter wheel on a balance frame. You would have to modify it because it's designed for 58s. So I made my wheels 58. They fit perfectly in balance frames. I recommend them in balance frames. Get the flat 58, 85s on the outside, 90s on the inside. It's an amazing setup. Put some grind plates on there. You're going to be flying around the skate park. It's a really great time. If you're looking for something 60 millimeter, I would probably just stick with Ground Control. Alvaro Cova, thanks for the inspiration and all the knowledge. Finally, I am back to blading. Hello from Chile. Hello, Alvaro. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome back. You're in good company. If you have any questions, the live chat is a really helpful place to ask. If you have questions after the live stream, feel free to leave a comment, and I'm usually good about responding to comments. Sometimes it's been getting a little more popular, which means that there's more and more comments, which is more difficult for me to respond to everybody. I do read every comment. I don't always respond to everything, but I definitely read everything that you all write. So if you need to get a hold of me, email, Instagram, Facebook, those are probably the best ways. You can find all of that contact information on backtoblading.com. But thank you for tuning in, and welcome back. Justin Kyle, did I hear you correctly on a recent live chat that you own 50/50, as in the owner of the legendary skating company? Yes, Justin, I do own 50/50. So me and my partner Jess ran 50/50 from 1998 until 2003 or 2004. I stepped away from the company around then and had some family things that I needed to take care of. Life changed. So Jess handled everything from then on. He shut down the company in probably 2008, 2010 or so. And then I brought it back in 2017. I met with Jess and I said, hey, I'm back skating and I really want to make balance frames again. Do you mind? And he said, absolutely not. The molds are still there. Go for it. Have fun. If you need anything from me, let me know. He moved on as well from skating. He still skates from time to time, but he's really into long distance running. And he does a lot of BMX still. But he's super supportive. He designed the backpacks. So the original 50/50 backpacks, do I have one? I have one, but it's all buried. The original 50/50 backpacks I designed, but he took a fresh look at them and redesigned them so that we could bring them out again. And he came up with the new colorways that we're going to be introducing in January that I haven't announced yet, but there will be new backpacks coming next month. They are on a boat right now coming from the factory, and they will be here in the second week of January. In the U.S. in the second week of January, probably get here a week later. But anyway, those are all Jess's visions. So he has an amazing eye for design. He ran England Clothing and did a lot of the design there. So the two of us really complement each other. We're both very geeky when it comes to technology and modifying our skates and stuff. But yeah, I own 50/50. I also own Compass, which is the big wheel company that makes 72 mil all the way up to 110s. So I do this for fun. Again, I'm not supporting my family out of it. If you are trying to start a skate company now to support your family, it's going to be really difficult. I do have a full-time job, but I love skating and I wanted to bring 50/50 back because I missed it. I missed skating the products, and a lot of other people missed the frames as well. So I brought them back. Then I started doing the wheels, and now we do grind plates and bearings and backpacks and all sorts of things. So definitely, the rumors are true. It's me. Sean Michelson. All aggressive boots should be made flat soled, in my opinion. Hard wedge for people that don't want a soft shock absorber. Why didn't you establish a universal sole standard back in the day? LOL. Well, I totally agree with you. And that is why I highly recommend the USC 7. I think that is the best flat sole skate with the best sole plate, the best shock absorber, and the best liner that money can buy. At $220, you really can't beat it. 170, 180 or so boot only. It's an amazing skate, and it is a flat bottom boot. The problem is, not a lot of people are investing in new shells nowadays. So you're not going to get a lot of new flat bottom boots. I think most people are just doing raised heel boots. Even the Fifth Element was raised heel. I don't know why they did raised heel. I don't know. Rossi's confuses me sometimes. I think a flat bottom with, like you said, a hard, rigid thing like the Adapt, a hard, rigid shock absorber would have been perfect for the Fifth Element. And then swap it out if you want. Then you have adjustment sizes. You could say, I want a little bit more forward lean, a little bit less forward lean. Nope, they just decided to make it plastic. I mean, I'm sure they wanted to reuse that sole plate, but at that time, get rid of that sole plate. It's so heavy. Anyway, I totally agree with you. I think that the flat sole is the way to go. If I were to ever make a skate, that's the way that I would do it. Justin Kyle, have you met any of the OGs, Julio, Arlo, Feinberg, and were they cool? Yes. So John and I known each other for 30 or so years. John, I grew up in San Jose. I was in college at San Jose State University when I first met John. Again, great guy. I've known him forever. He's just John, who else did you list? Arlo. I used to judge the ASA competitions. So I was an ASA judge, and I was the X Games judge and Gravity's Games judge for a few years. So definitely got to know Arlo really well during the announcements. He was announcing, most of the events. So went on tour with him a bunch and got to know him pretty well. We don't talk anymore. None of these. I mean, I talk to John every now and then, but mostly business-wise. We don't really talk anymore. It's not like we were friends, but we were definitely associated through the industry. If he ever needed anything, I would do whatever I could to help any of them. If they ever needed a place to crash, always welcome out here. But it's, we don't hang out or anything like that. Aaron, I only met through the ASAs. I don't really know Aaron. I have always respected his skating. The guy was amazing even before he was on USD. Seeing him grow through the ASA ranks was great. That was my time when I think I was judging when he went ASA Pro, at least around the same year. I don't know that I was there when he did, but he was just an amazing skater. And, he was all right to talk with. He was younger, so, and I was always older, so it was like, we would go to a bar or whatever and hang out, and he wouldn't be there. So it was a little different mix with the younger skaters and, the judges and the announcers and stuff. But yeah, I know most of those guys. I grew up in San Jose and grew up with 50/50. So I know most of the old skaters. Not super close friends with any of them anymore. Again, I distanced myself from skating for a while. I stayed in contact with Jason Marshall, Cameron Card, a few others that I still consider really good friends. But for the most part, skating was skating. I did visit John a couple of times in Southern California when I went and visited, just to say hey. But I didn't really follow skating, so I didn't know much about skating. Definitely much closer with them nowadays. But again, it's mostly business, mostly industry side stuff. John does the Blading Cup stuff, and I always try to sponsor events as much as I can. Arlo doesn't really have an involvement with the industry anymore, but I still follow him on the Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. So it is a small world. It's skating is small, and we're all just kind of this big skating family. So if anybody is an old skater, we always have your back and we'll always help you out. So it's really, really a great community. Will Windsor asks, what size are those K2s behind you? There's K2s behind me. I have a bunch of K2s behind me. These fatties are directly behind me. I don't know if these are the ones that you're asking about. These are size 9 US, 27. These are the Fatty Pros that I think my friend Gislin sent me from Europe. These are incredible. They've never been skated. They still have the tags on them. Beautiful, beautiful skates. I wish that they would bring them back. And then the red ones. These are the K2. These are called the 80 Minis. So these were the K2 kid skates. 85A. See, there you go. 55 85s. These wheels. Look at that wheel. This wheel has been skated so deep that it is into the axle and the bearing. Can you see that? That is incredible. So whoever was skating these skates loved skating and never rotated their wheels. But I mean, even the brake is angled. Oh, it's so sad. Like, this person probably would still be skating. I got these up played again. Whoever skates these would probably still be skating if their parents taught them how to rotate their wheels and got them new wheels when they needed them. Things are crazy. Anyway, these are a size 22 US 4, so they're very small. I don't think they're adjustable, but they're kid skates. All right. Alan Van Stewart, how do you feel about freezing wheels before you use them? I've heard that's a thing. I've never heard that's a thing. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if it would work better or not. I would assume that after you pour a wheel, the urethane needs to cure. And they recommend that after the wheels are poured, you wait for 2 weeks or so before you skate them. Our wheels are poured in South Korea. That means that it takes about 2 weeks to get here. So by the time the wheels are here, they're ready to skate. If you were getting your wheels poured in the US and they pour them and you put them on your skates the same day, probably would be bad. So maybe putting them in a freezer would get them more solid. I honestly don't know. I don't know what the advantage would be, but I've never heard of that. I don't know if it's a thing. As a result, I don't know that I would recommend it. I don't know that it would be anything bad, but I don't know why you would do it. I don't know that it will make much of a difference. All right, Justin, I see your questions. I'm going to skip you for now and go through the new skates so that everybody can see them. If you do have questions, if I don't get to them, please send me an Instagram message or a Facebook message or something. I would be more than happy to chat. But I have more things to get through. So thank you to the YouTube ads and my Patreon supporters. I usually get new skates every couple of months. And the reason that I get new skates every couple of months and I don't stick to the same skates always is because for me, I want to share what every skate feels like more than I want to progress my skating. I love landing new tricks and I love learning new tricks and getting more solid on the tricks that I have and enjoy skating. But most of all, I like to talk with the community and I like to have new things to share with the community. We live in a world now where skate shops are very rare. And if you have a skate shop, support your local skate shop. Go in, try on skates, ask your skate shop owner or employee what they think of the skates, and try to get their opinions. Not a lot of people have that perk in life. I am one of those people. I live about 30 minutes away from Oak City Skate Shop in Raleigh. I live in Durham, and I am very fortunate to be able to go down there and ask Long what he thinks about this skate, or can I try on this skate and make sure that I get the right size and things like that. Since I have that advantage, and since I have an audience and a little bit of revenue coming in from YouTube and supporters on Patreon, I invest that money that I make into getting new skates so that I can test them out and I can share with you what I think of the skate. So I always do reviews, not only about what this skate features, but how it feels, what it feels like on my feet, what it feels like to skate, if things are going to break, how it feels for grinds, things like that. So every couple of months I get a new pair of skates. Usually I stick with aggressive skates, but this time I got some non-aggressive skates, and I am going to share with you the skates that I got. Very excited. They're under here. All right. They are a Powerslide skate. Powerslide, in case you didn't know, is the company that owns USD, Gods, Undercover, Ennui, Chaya roller skates, Wicked Bearings. They own a ton of different a ton of different companies. They know their stuff. All that to say is they know their stuff. So they're not just some random fly-by-night company. Powerslide is the main brand. Powerslide makes the free skates. So I got myself a pair of the Powerslide Zooms. So these are the Powerslide Zoom. I have been looking at these for a few months since they first came out. And I'm fascinated by this skate. And I wanted to talk to you about it and tell you a little bit about why I chose this skate, what's unique about it, and what I plan to do with it. So first of all, this is the Powerslide Zoom. This configuration is a 4x80. It also comes in a 3x100. The reason that I got the 4x80 is because this frame is 243 millimeters from 1 to 4. It is as short as you can possibly get for an 80 millimeter frame. There is 1 millimeter difference. And if you do the math, you've got 80 plus 80 plus 80. So that's 240 plus 1 millimeter plus 2 millimeters plus 3 millimeters. 243. So you've got a millimeter in between so that the wheels don't rub. And you got 80 millimeter wheels, so it makes a 4x80, 243 wheelbase. It is a hard shell boot. So this is a hard shell boot. It has a 45-degree buckle instead of a strap, which is awesome. This buckle, when you put it on, it's a crank buckle. So you can tighten it around your ankle. I love a good 45-degree strap. I think it's what's missing in most skates. I think some skates do it really well. The Aeons do them really well. The Flying Eagle F7s do them really well. I think a nice cranking buckle is really awesome. Top buckle, nothing really to report back. It's just a normal buckle. The liner is a My Fit no-name liner, but it is heat moldable. So this is a dual fit 43-44 liner. It has the neoprene toe in the front. This whole top section is actually pretty squishy neoprene. You'll see that this front section, the way that it curls around, is probably nice and comfortable. The problem that I had with the Razors SL is that the liners came all the way down here and they kept digging into my toes. Probably won't have this problem with this liner. It does come with an insole. This insole is fairly cheap. Doesn't look like there's anything special going on here. Just an insole. Nothing to really write about. So the liner's pretty cheap, I'm not going to lie. It is a raised heel boot with an additional shock absorber. So it's going to be even taller than I'm used to, which I don't know why they need this, but I will probably be replacing this because I'm probably going to feel like I'm leaning too far forward. It's interesting to see My Fit stamped on that shock absorber. What's fascinating about this skate is that it is Trinity mount. So Trinity is the mounting standard that Powerslide came out with about 4 years ago. Trinity, versus UFS. So UFS is what we use for aggressive skates. And you can see in the channel, the sole plate, has all the bolts on the outside where you do the sole grinds and things like that. You can see in the channel there are 2 bolts, and those are the 2 UFS bolts. And they're 167 millimeters from 1 to 2. So there's 2 bolts that mount this frame to this boot. The standard for free skates is a 165 mount. And if you look at these Flying Eagle F7s, this is a 165 mount. So you'll see that there's a bolt under here, and there's actually a bolt under here under the third wheel. It's kind of hard to see, but it's actually under there. 165 mount. So this is 165 from 1 to 2. What's funky about this is it's Trinity. So instead of a 165 mount, they have 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3. And what that's supposed to do is, first of all, it allows the frame to be a little bit lower. So because the middle doesn't have to worry about this mounting bolt, the wheel can go below the mounting area. You can see this wheel actually extends below where the frame mounts. It's crazy. And the back is super low. It's like right on where the wheel is. But because they don't have to worry about this bolt, they can just put the bolt wherever they want. Now, why is this important? Well, this isn't actually a Trinity boot. So this boot is a sway boot. So sway, how do I explain this? So this boot was initially designed, I think it was called the Bronx. It was just an all-around fitness sort of skate. It was a plastic shell. It looked a little bit different. It was a 165 mount. Nothing funny about it. They converted it over to a UFS boot. So they have a sole plate that you can put on. And you can use the sole plate to do, grinds and stuff like that. And it would be UFS. They sold this in like a blue for Monterey Livingston about 2 years ago. And they've been selling this sway as a aggressive skate for, a few years. And it is like a $190 skate, maybe $200 skate, sub $200, which is a really compelling price point if you're just trying to get into aggressive. Hard shell boot, fairly good liner, nice lacing, good sole plate, and, it's UFS. What's fascinating about this is they've used this and converted it to Trinity. So there is a mounting plate under here. This little strip that you can see is a Trinity mounting plate. This mounts to the boot where the sole plates would mount for the UFS. This mounts to the boot using the same holes that the sole plate would use for the UFS sole plate. And then they mount Trinity into it. So now you can write a Trinity frame on this skate. Which means that you have a sub $200 Trinity skate, which you've never had before. I'll also add, Trinity has never really come in a hard shell. Usually Trinity skates are like the soft shell, like these swells that I have. These swells are Trinity. And this is a really good example of Trinity. You can see where the Trinity mount is super easily because this is a 3x125. This is designed for skating really fast and really far. Really good example of Trinity and why somebody would want Trinity. Got a lot of lateral motion here. So when you're pushing off really hard, all of that force gets distributed to the bolts on the outside. But you've never been able to get a Trinity boot, aside from the Next, the Powerslide Next. That was a hard shell boot. This is the second one. And it is the first sub $200 Trinity boot. So I'm super excited to skate these. I'm going to do another review just like I did with my other recreational boot. It's going to be a little different. I'm just going to take them out into my local office part, skate them around, see what they feel like, do a quick video for YouTube and everything. But then I'm going to swap out this frame and put on another frame for testing. And this frame is the Powerslide Kaiser Flux frame. Oh, what? It keeps coming. The craziness won't stop. So this is the real reason why I wanted to get these crazy sways that are not sways, of the zooms. This is the Kaiser Flux frame. Get a load of this crazy thing. So the Flux frame is completely different than anything that Kaiser has ever made. First of all, Kaiser is an aggressive skate frame manufacturer. I have some Kaiser frames. Let me show you some Kaiser frames. So this is a Kaiser Fluid frame. This is the Fluid 4. Fluid 3. Fluid, I don't know which one this is. One of the Kaiser Fluids. I think it's the Kaiser Fluid 3. This is an anti-rocker frame. So it's really designed for anti-rocker. And you can see this split. You can't ride big wheels in here. This is designed for grinds. This is really good. This came on my Swell, or on my 7s. It's a really great frame, but definitely designed for grinding. This is the Kaiser Element frame, the original Kaiser Element. This is designed for skating fast. It's an aluminum frame with plastic sliders. Fits a maximum of 58 millimeter wheels. The H-block is reversible, so you can skate flat, or you could skate anti-rocker. These things aren't made anymore, but they are super crazy. If you look at the Sola frame, if you look at the current Kaiser Element, if you look at the ground control 60 millimeter frame, they owe a lot of credit to this frame for coming up with the idea of using the aluminum frame with the plastic H-block, plastic removable H-block. So what the hell is this? So this frame is crazy, right? So it is a Trinity mount frame. It is not designed for grinder blading. It doesn't have a groove, so you can't really do groove tricks, right? It's not designed for doing back royales or, torque slides or whatever. It has two different configurations. So you can skate 3x100, or you can skate 4x90. So think about that for a second. So first of all, there's no 90 millimeter frames out there, right? So it's really hard to find a 90 millimeter frame, let alone a 90 millimeter wheel to put in a 90 millimeter frame. Now I make a 100 millimeter wheel. So I'm going to skate these with the hundreds. I'm going to skate 3x100 with the Compass 100s. And I think that's a really great setup. I love skating 3x100 with a Trinity frame. That's going to feel really good. It's a low profile. It's going to be really fast, really quick pickup because 100 millimeter is pretty quick, much quicker than a 110 or a 125. But still you're going to get that coast, so you're going to be able to skate for long distances if you want. It has a 3-way rocker, so each of these are a little triangle rocker, so you can rocker them down in the back, in the front if you wanted to, and make it so that you can be on your toes a little bit. Or you can do the 4x90. You could probably even do 4x80 if you wanted to. 4x84 if you wanted to. And just set this up however you want with as big wheels as you want. Anything from an 80 up to a 100 is probably ideal. Where it gets weird is what's this craziness? So, you know how I talked about how Trinity frames they have the 3 mounts, right? So they have 1, 2, 3 poles. These are the 3 different mounts that you use to mount Trinity. So there's no need to have a fin back here, right? You're not mounting back here. You mount up here. This is where the fins should be. In the back, it doesn't really matter. You mount through the middle. You mount through the 2 front fins. What's this back fin for? This back fin is for doing macchios. So when you put it on the freaking skate, so pretend this is a Trinity skate, which it isn't, but pretend it is. It now has a sole. So you can jump on while you're doing whatever you're doing in your urban 3x100 setup and do some mizus or do some macchios or whatever. I don't know. I'm fascinated by these frames. I don't know what I'm going to think about them, but I do know that they are going to be the best 3x100 frame out there, because there aren't any other 3x100 frames out there with a really good wheelbase. This wheelbase is like 270, which is perfect for me. I love a long frame. This is a medium balance frame, and you can see that it's a little longer than that medium balance frame. It has to be, right? Because if you, like we talked about with the 4x80 being 243, it can't be any shorter than 273, because if it fits 90 millimeter wheels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 plus 3, 273. Like, you've got to have at least 273 millimeters, or the 4x90 is going to rub. So it's a really great wheelbase. I'm really excited to try these out. And I will be skating them on these skates after I do my rec test to see what they feel like with these Powerslide wheels and test them out. But wait, there's even more. So not only did I get the Flux frames for testing, a pseudo-aggressive urban setup, but I got the Sway sole plates. So these are the USD Sway sole plates. These are the sole plates that, if this wasn't a Zoom, would be on the bottom of this skate to make it UFS. So I'm going to be setting these up after I'm done skating the Flux and see what these feel like with the Sway. So I've got all 3 different setups planned. It's going to be a really fun time. The only negative is that it is cold and wet, and it is almost January, so it might even be snowing soon. So doing all of this stuff outdoors is going to suck. But as I can, I will start checking things off the list. I'm going to skate this, set up as it is. I'm going to skate the Flux frames, and I'm going to set them up and skate them as Sways. I'm going to see what they feel like in each of the setups. I'm going to do a full comprehensive review on the Zoom/Sway and let you guys know if this is a skate that can cover all bases. $200. This thing's like $180. You can get the sole plates for like $30, $40. You can get the Flux frames for like $70, something like that. So all in, $250, $270, something like that, and you can get 3 different, completely different setups. That might be the best bargain in skating. Less than $300, and you can get 3 completely different setups. I absolutely love this. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to be good for any of them, or if it's going to be great for all of them, but I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm going to let you know. Super excited. I hope that it was a good review. I know that a lot of people guessed it. A lot of people guessed Next, and that would be a good guess. I do want to get some Next, but the Zoom just has so many different potential setups that I got to try them all. All right. I am at an hour. I'm going to go through and see if there's any questions that I can quickly answer, and then I'm going to call it a night. A lot of feedback on the Zooms. Yes, it looks good. Zooms would look good with King Soles, Steve. Yes, I think Zooms with a King Sole would be amazing. I'll get Kingery on the phone. He's a little busy right now, if you know what I mean. Will my fit liners, Eli asks, will my fit liners fit in Rossi's? I see no reason why not. I think that the Rossi's are a fairly standard size skate. If you're talking about an M12, you might have a little bit of problem, but I know people ride crown liners in their fifths, so definitely worth looking at. I think the MyFit liner is a really quality brand. Definitely get the Crown or Fat Boys or Second Skins. Those are the ones that I have a little bit of experience with. But if you're looking for a liner to replace a stock liner, those are really good options. Christopher Pauly asks, how's the fit? You're a 28.5, right? Yes, they fit great. I haven't skated them yet, of course, but when I tried them on at the shop, they fit fine. Yes, I am a 28.5. This is the 910 skate, so it should be 27.8 to 28.5. I fit just fine. If not a little snug, but I feel like that's a good thing. I think when I tried them on, I also had my normal athletic socks on instead of the skinny, thin socks that I usually use when I'm skating. So take that with a grain of salt as well. Steve asks, will I skate the flex frames on my trail skates? No, probably not. I don't really like these trail skates for skating anything but flat. And the reason is that the adjustment is off for me. It doesn't feel like a fun skate to skate. It feels like a purpose-built skate. I might need to adjust it around a little bit to get it aligned properly. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this skate for anything but skating fast in a straight line. Which is a lot of fun if you need that zen thing, but if the ground is slippery or if you don't have a nice trail to skate, it's kind of hard to recommend. Definitely not for the flex frames, though. Not my thing. All right, I think I am good. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It was a nice reveal. I hope that you appreciate the absurdity of the Powerslide Zoom. I'm really excited. I'm going to skate the adapts with the Wish frames this coming weekend. Really excited to get out there and try it again. It has been a long time since I've skated the Wish frames. I'm a huge fan of Wish. I have the medium frames on pre-order, and I will be bringing them in and showing them off as soon as they get here. I need to find some good wheels for them, but other than that, I will, set them up and see what they feel like. Usually I do this every 2 weeks. I'm going to be skipping the next one and pushing it off a week, so it's going to be 3 weeks because it's going to be New Year's. I'd rather just take a break, reset, and get things in order for 2020, which is going to be a really busy year for me and for 50/50 and Compass. I hope that you will join me and support me in 2020, and I will see you all in 3 weeks.